The benefits and joys of journaling are numerous. Journaling is one of my favorite writing tools, self-discovery methods, and spiritual practices. I've had many amazing experiences and mind-blowing spiritual insights while I've journaled. Join me as we explore this fantastic process that helps us in so many areas of our life and provides so many benefits. Welcome. Dancing with the Goddess is how we move through and experience life as modern mystic women. I believe anyone can be a modern mystic woman and experience awe, beauty, and magic in our daily lives. I'm Tora, a modern mystic, author, and book doula. Join me as we discover who we are meant to be, explore different modalities for self-improvement and transformation, and reawaken to our goddess magic and feminine divine selves. I invite you to dance with the goddess with me. Here's today's episode. I love to journal. It's one of the things that I do almost every day, every morning. Some mornings I don't have time, and there's times when my life goes crazy and I don't journal. And it's those times when I should be journaling because I'm going into a depression spiral and I'm not processing those emotions. There are so many benefits to journaling. And when I did a Google search to research a bit about this topic to prepare for this episode, I was amazed in how many different places from a broad spectrum that was talking about the benefits. You would expect it to be in spiritual practices like meditation and stuff like that. But there were articles from health organizations like Kaiser Permanente, Intermountain Healthcare, Healthline, Positive Psychology, that were all talking about the benefits of journaling and more on the psychological and health benefits of journaling. It relieves stress. It helps improve your immunity. And then there were articles on Forbes, which is a business magazine, a huge business magazine, and New York Times and Business Insider. And the articles on there were talking about how journaling can help you in your business and in your work and increase your productivity. The benefits of journaling is far-ranging, and the way that you can use it is far-ranging as well. Neuroscience supports the benefits of journaling. When you take all that worry that's clouding your mind and write it down, the simple act of writing it down allows the monkey brain, the worry, the conscious brain to set it aside. You've written it down, so it doesn't have to continue worrying about it anymore. It helps in setting your goals. When you write it down, you're bringing it from the ethereal world of ideas and thought and into the material plane. And it doesn't matter for this whether you write that handwriting in a journal or typing it up on your computer. The same process applies. You've brought it out of the non-physical world and into the physical world. You can go back and read what you've written. The conscious mind now knows this is real. The subconscious mind, it activates the subconscious mind of, oh, she's set these goals. She's made this a priority in her life. Okay, she's written it down even. So now we're going to find all of those situations and those cues that will help her do that. That's how the neuroscience of journaling works. When I was doing my research, some of the things these articles listed as benefits for journaling was relieving stress, boosting health and wellness, and improving your immunity. It helped you process traumatic experiences. It's a way of developing your emotional intelligence. That was listed several times because you are looking at your emotions. You are exploring what you're feeling and why you're feeling that way. So it's developing that emotional intelligence that is so important, especially in our society today and where we're going. We need that emotional intelligence if we are to live in a community that is focused more on balance and harmony and cooperation. We can't cooperate and be in partnership if we don't know our own emotions, if we're not self-aware. And journaling helps us do that. It helps us figure out our next step. It enhances creativity. It improves problem-solving skills, strengthens your self-expression. If you are expressing yourself, what you feel, what you think, what you believe in your private pages, in your journal, you're practicing that, which makes it so much easier to express those to other people. If you've taken that time to really figure out what it is about a situation that's bothering you in your journal, then you can speak about that to the other person with much more clarity and more confidence because you've worked it out in your own head. What exactly is the problem? Why it bothers you? And now you can speak about that in a less emotional way. So you're not just flying off the handle about it. You're being able to speak about it calmly and rationally and in a way that will help the other person understand where you're coming from. When we're just speaking from our emotions, sometimes those get away from us. And we don't speak as clearly as we'd like to. I know it happens with me all the time. How many times do you finish the conversation and think of 10 other things that you should have, could have said that would have been much better? Thinking about that first and journaling about it will help you come up with some of those things and may help you not say things that you might regret later because you've said them in your journal where nobody's going to see it, hopefully. And you can clear all the shit that you're feeling. You can express it however you need to express it. One of the things that surprised me was that journaling enhances your memory. When you write it down, writing slows the mind down. So when you write things down, and especially in your journal, it's forcing the mind to think about it more. It's searing those memory synapses a little bit more than just the ephemeral of experiencing it. It's been found with journaling that you can recall incidences with more clarity than if you don't journal, and especially about those instances that you have journaled about. It's a fantastic way of dealing with trauma. You can write about how you're feeling, what it did to you, what you experienced in a safe place. A lot of therapists do use journaling as part of the therapy because it's so helpful. In 1988, Dr. Pembroke did a large study on the effects of journaling. Let me read this so I'm getting it right. One of the things he found was that by labeling emotions and acknowledging the traumatic event, it helps us heal from it. It helps us heal that event. He found in this study that journaling helps us organize our thoughts and organize the event in our minds and helps us make sense of it. One of the ways that he found that journaling helps, especially with trauma and things that we're healing, is as we write it down, we can now process it because our brains aren't also processing the experience. In this study, Dr. Pembroke randomly assigned students to two different groups. One group was assigned to write about traumatic experiences, drama in their life, while the second group was to just write about anything random and superficial topics for 4 days in a row. After 6 weeks, one of the surprising things that was found in this study is the students who wrote about their traumatic experiences reported more positive feelings and better health than those who wrote just about everyday things. I've experienced some of these benefits for myself, and it's why I like journaling so much. I have been journaling for a very long time, and I keep all my journals. So some of my journals go back 30 plus years ago, and it's interesting to go back every once in a while and see how I've changed over the years. That is one of the biggest benefits that I see in my own life of journaling. We change constantly, and it's so easy when we're just living our life to forget about how much we've changed and grown. When we record those experiences in our journal, we remember them, and we can go back to our journals and see very objectively, because now we're reading it from a different perspective. We can see very objectively how we have changed and grown over the years, even over a few months. For me, this past year of 2023 has been one of immense changes. If I were to put a word on this year, it would be transformation and quantum growth. I know this not only from how I feel. I can go back to my journals and see those jumps, those leaps, those changes that I've been doing in this past year. Then I go back to journals 2 or 3 years in the past. I'm not the same person. I think so much differently now than I did then because I've processed a lot of trauma, a lot of drama. I've cleared a lot of blocks, changed my mindsets. And I have that as a record in my journal. So I can see that growth. We talked about the studies that are showing that emotional intelligence increases as we journal because we are expressing, we are exploring our emotions. I've done this quite a bit in my journaling. There are times when you look at my journal that the writing is nice and free-flowing and everything's good. But when I'm stressed, when I'm angry, and I'm expressing those emotions on the page, you can see it. Because I'm writing in big caps, taking 10 lines to write one word, underlining it, putting it in bold, 10 exclamation points. That really helps me express that emotion, that if I'm angry, I can express it onto the page and not hurt the other person. I can express how I'm feeling hurt and betrayed and really explore that. Did the person really hurt and betray me, or is that just how I'm feeling? If it's the former, I can work out in my journal how I want to deal with that. If it's me just overreacting, I can work through that in my journal so that I can deal with that person and that situation better. I have not had the best relationship with my mother. There was a time period in my life where I completely cut her out of my life. It was through journaling that I've resolved some of those issues and other healing modalities, which I journal about my healing modalities and the healing that I do. So they're intertwined for me. And in those healing modalities and in that journaling, I've been able to see and recognize some of those issues that I took hard with my mother was she was just doing the best that she could do. She was raised in the silent generation where you didn't talk about your emotions. My grandmother never talked or expressed her emotions. It was something dirty. So my mother, who was born in the late 30s in the Depression era, didn't grow up with gentle parenting like we're seeing now. She didn't grow up understanding or having an understanding of her child was a person. I was taught that I was to be seen and not heard, and sometimes, quite often, not even to be seen. Those are issues I've had to deal with and heal. And it wasn't her trying to hurt me. It was all she knew. So by journaling it, I've been able to come into a place of peace with my mother. I live with her now as a caretaker. She's in her 90s. Because I've done this healing with her, I'm able to take care of her with love that I wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. I credit that with the healing modalities that I do and my journaling. Journaling helps me remember my setbacks, my accomplishments. It helps me deal with those setbacks. It helps me celebrate my accomplishments. I'm not the type of person that I accomplish something, I finish a task, I publish a book, and throw a party. My celebration of finishing a task is, woohoo, okay, next. Writing those accomplishments in my journal helps me remember them, helps me celebrate those. I can go back and go, oh, yeah, I did accomplish a lot. I am so going into the next task that I don't really recognize and acknowledge that much of how much I have done. Keeping a journal of that helps me see that, helps me acknowledge my own worth. And this journal isn't always in a notebook. For my accomplishments, I do that in a list on an Excel worksheet. That's part of my journaling process. I was a CPA for 25 years plus. As a CPA, you are billing the time that you spend on projects and tasks to your clients. So you have to keep a detailed record of your billable time. This created a mindset and mentality in me that if I didn't record my time, I wasn't being productive and I wasn't doing any worthwhile work. When I retired from accounting, that mindset and that habit of keeping track of my time continued to the point it was detrimental. Keeping track of your time is a type of journal. In this instance, it was a detriment to me because I was looking at what I was doing and seeing it wasn't enough. I wasn't productive enough. I wasn't working enough hours. I was trying to look at my time and treat what I'm doing as a job. I was looking at my time and trying to equate that I was doing enough, working enough, in quotes, hours to justify it being full time. I am a projector in the human design system. That isn't what works for me. So seeing the time that I spent was giving me fuel to beat myself up. At the same time, my Clifton Strength Achiever needed a list, needed to see what I've accomplished because I'm so much done next. So I needed to see what I was doing. Now my journal for my tasks is just keeping a list. No time attached to it whatsoever. Nothing attached to it. Just a list. This is what I've done. This is what I did with my day. This is what I worked on today. This type of journal has helped me a lot. I'm actually more productive now than when I was keeping track of every minute I spent. There was one time period that trying to be productive, this projector trying to fit into the generator world, I was keeping track, trying to do a schedule that, okay, from 8 to 9, I'm doing this. From 9 to 10, I'm doing this. And scheduling out my life. That usually only lasted 2, maybe 3 days. Because it was so against who I was. And when I was doing this, I didn't know that I was a projector in human design. I didn't know my Clifton strengths. So just keeping track in that journal, in my Excel file journal, helps me acknowledge my accomplishments. Helps me, I'm doing things, I'm getting things done, that I'm not trading my time for money. Journaling has helped me in my business. It's helped me clarify what I want to do, figure out what programs or courses I want to provide. It helps me figure out those courses and what to include. I journal about that. It has helped me set my goals. I get ideas for my business while I'm writing. Product ideas, course ideas, blog ideas, podcast episode ideas. All come through my journaling. Helps me clarify what I want in my life, not just my business, but in life in general. I can do some visioning in my journaling of what I want my life to be, where I want to go. It helps me be self-aware, aware of who I am, what I believe, what I think. In human design, your ajna center is that center of thought, of knowing. When you have an open or an undefined ajna center, it's really difficult for you to know what you think. You are an open filter for other people's thoughts. With a defined ajna, you know what you're thinking, you know your thoughts. You have more of a set mindset. When you're undefined, there's not that filter that you have when you're defined. One of the ways that you can figure out what you're thinking, what you believe, is to write it out, to talk about it. This helps not only people with an open ajna or an undefined ajna, it helps projectors. Part of our energy is looking toward the other. We rarely see ourselves. When we journal, that gives us that introspection that we don't get in our normal daily lives. for ego or self-directed projectors especially, part of their strategy is to talk things out. That doesn't always mean they need to talk to someone. That helps. It also qualifies of talking things out to talk it out on your journal page. If you are one of these human design types or have an open or undefined ajna, it really helps to journal that out when you have a problem, when you don't know what you think or don't know what to do. You need to make a decision. Write it out in your journal so you know what you think. You won't know until you write it down, until you talk it out. For me, journaling is a sacred practice. It isn't just for all these other benefits. Yes, there's those. For me, journaling is where I connect to my inner self, where I can connect with the goddess, with the divine, and listen. When I'm saying my prayers, I'm talking to the goddess, to the divine. But when I'm journaling, it's a form of meditation in that I'm listening for those answers. I have received so many spiritual insights while journaling. It's interesting to read back those journals that I'll start by talking about, just brain dumping of what I did yesterday, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling. And then as I continue writing, I get deeper. I go deeper within, and all of a sudden things shift. Now I am getting direct messages from the goddess. Sometimes my writing will shift and it's no longer, I am doing this. I'm getting that direct message and it comes out in third person of, you need to do this. This is important for you. And that's when I know that it's no longer my ego writing. It is my inner self. It is the divine speaking through me that's coming through my writing. When I do meditations, I write my experience down afterwards. And I highly, highly advise people to do this and suggest that people do this. One, when you go into meditation, your conscious mind kind of floats out here. And that's kind of how I visualize it, is taking my conscious mind and putting it up here where it's observing. And that is what the conscious mind is for, is observing. It's a very good observer. When I start writing down my meditation and what I experienced, it gives my conscious mind permission. It goes, ooh, she's paying attention. Now I can tell her what I observed. So I get that perspective. Things happen on a different plane when you're in meditation. You're not in this physical plane. You aren't conscious of everything that happens. When I'm writing about my experience, I'm going back into it in a different place. I'm more in the physical now. And I'm remembering more, not just what my mind observed, but I'm experiencing more in a conscious way, if that makes sense. When I'm going back into this experience that I've had in my meditation as I'm writing it down, often my guides, my goddess council, my inner self, any and all of the above, goes, oh, She's paying attention. We can tell her more. And I'll get more information. I'll get more insights than I did while sitting in my meditation. And if I just sit in meditation and get up and don't write about it, I don't experience that. I experience the good feelings of being in the meditation and maybe, oh, this happened and this happened. And then if I don't write about it, it's very ephemeral. It's gone. It's like, oh, I did that at meditation. What was it? So I lose that incredible experience. Because I've written it down in my journal, I remember it better. I don't have to always go back to my journal to remember those meditations. But if I need to, I can go back and look at those meditations and see what occurred and relive those. It makes them more real. Or I'll write about and journal about spiritual experiences that I've had. Not just in meditation, but other spiritual experiences. When we're in that experience, because we're not fully in the physical world, we're balancing and walking between the physical and the non-physical world, and we're in that spiritual realm almost more than we are in the physical realm. When that experience ends, it can often feel like it was unreal. Did we really experience that? Was it just a figment of our imagination? For me, when I write it down in my journal, when I put it into those words, and that physical act of writing makes it real for me. I know I had that experience. It wasn't just a figment of my imagination. I really did see my goddess council surround me with love. I really felt that I did get that message from Hecate or Freya or Amaterasu. If I don't write it down, I question that. My ego questions that. Was that real? And I lose it. Those are some of the benefits of journaling and my experiences with journaling. So how do you journal? You can journal any way you want that feels right for you. I suggest experimenting with a few different ways to find what works for you. For me, handwriting my journals works the best. I do have a few electronic ones. When I've had spiritual insights or things that I really want to remember, I will type them up and save them in a computer file because I can find those easier than flipping through a journal. But I like the handwriting, and it's suggested to handwrite your journals because it slows the mind down. It puts you into that meditative, mindful state of handwriting because you can't write as fast as your mind thinks. So it forces the mind to slow down so you know what you're thinking. But you can type it out. That's acceptable, whatever way works for you. There are electronic journals that you can download and use. I'm creating a few. You can just use a notebook. I like this size. It's not quite a full page size. It's like a 3/4 page size. I like this size to write in, or you could use a regular book. They sell really pretty journals that are bound. I like wire-bound journals better because then I'm usually sitting in my bed journaling. I can hold it flat where it's a little bit harder when it's a hard journal. I like writing in different color ink every day just because it's fun and it feeds my creative spirit. I tend to write every day, but it's not necessary. Dr. Pembroker, who did a lot of studying on journal, he suggests that when you're processing a traumatic experience or some drama in your life, to write about it for 3 or 4 days for about 15-20 minutes. My experience is I write about it till I don't need to any longer, till I feel like I've processed it all. Some days my journaling is simply kind of a diary. This is what I did yesterday. This is what I want to do today. This is what I hope for the future. Some days that's all I have time for. It helps gets that crud out of my brain onto my page, and I have a much more productive day when I do journal than when I don't journal. Even if it's just, this is what I did, this is what I want to do. That just helps my productivity. And then there are days, and this is why I like being an entrepreneur and authorpreneur, there are days I am journaling for 3 hours because information's flowing in. I'm processing something. I'm getting a spiritual insight. And I'm just, my hand's cramping up because I'm writing so much. I'm crying. There's times that something will come up as I'm journaling that is like, oh, this needs to be healed. I need to do some tapping on this. I need to do whatever other healing modality. I like combining holodynamics and tapping together. So I'll stop journaling, start doing my tapping about what came up as I journaled, and then journal about what came up as I was tapping and what I cleared and some of the insights I gained that came up while I was tapping. It's part of my healing process. It's part of my spiritual journey to journal. You can use journal prompts. You can buy books, journals with journal prompts that you can look at and write about what that is. When I do my courses, one of my exercises to help students go deeper into whatever the lesson is about is to journal about it, to write what they're thinking, write what they're believing, what they did believe, what they learned. Do they agree with it? Do they not agree with it? What did they experience? It helps us process all of that. You can keep a gratitude journal. That's one of the journals I'm working on, is doing a 30-day gratitude practice and having a journal for that. You can keep those types of journals, whether you buy one like mine or somebody else's, or just keep a notebook that's your gratitude journal and write down every day 3 or 5 things that you're grateful for. Or note down any wins that you had and express your gratitude for that. In that helps you grow your gratitude. That helps you live a better life. The more that you're grateful and you express that gratitude, the more the universe and the divine brings to you because you're acknowledging it. That's part of the way that the law of attraction works. One of the ways that I use my journal is as my author morning pages. The approach for morning pages is slightly different than a regular journal. The first time I heard about morning pages for authors was way back. We're not going to say how many years ago. Well, way back. I was in my 20s. The first time I was seriously exploring being an author and a writer, I found a book called Becoming a Writer by Dorothea Brandt. And I will put the name of that in the show notes. You can't still get a reprint of it on Amazon. I just recently checked on that. I don't know other retail stores if it's available there, because it was first printed in 1930. The principles and concepts in that are timeless. It helped me become a writer. And she talked about writing morning pages. First thing in the morning, before your cup of coffee, even, is what she suggests, is sitting and writing your journal, your morning pages. Almost, you're kind of not quite awake yet, so you're accessing that subconscious mind a little bit easier. And she suggested writing out 3 pages in longhand, put it in your desk drawer, and never look at it again. You're just priming the pump of your writing. Just the act of writing will help you when you're just doing these morning pages. That act of writing will help you prime that pump of getting words onto the page. When you sit down to write your story, to write your book, this works whether you're a fiction or nonfiction writer, you've started that flow of words. Now, if this sounds familiar, that's because in the 1980s, Julia Cameron, in The Artist's Way, made morning pages popular. Same process that Dorothea Brande talked about in the 1930s. It's still talked about, still used because it's effective. I use my morning pages as an author, not just as a brain dump. I do that, but I also use, and what I have discovered in my morning pages or in my journaling, is that I find story ideas. I do world building. I find my characters. I'm writing about my story or the one that I'm working on, and I discover more about my character's backstory, about the world, about the story. If I'm struggling with a scene or I have a plot hole that I'm not quite sure how to solve, I'll start talking about it and writing about it in my journal or my morning pages. Sometimes I don't find the answer that day. My subconscious is now thinking about it. It's now percolating back there. The next day or 2 or 3 days later, I'll be journaling about that same issue, that it's still bothering me. I still haven't figured this out. What needs to happen? And the next sentence, I find out. The journaling, just like in meditation, allows the subconscious mind to tell you the answers. When you're always in your conscious mind and that busy mind, you can't think of the answers, whether that's in your life or in your writing. If you take the time to stop, be mindful, and journal, those answers can flow to you. It may not be immediately, like I said, but it will come. When I'm writing my nonfiction, if I get stuck on where it needs to go next, what's the next process, what's the next step that I need to guide my readers through, if I ask that question in my morning pages and then pay attention and listen to the answer, I'll find it. It will show up in my morning pages. It will show up in my journal. Through my journal writing, I've gained clarity in who my audience is, who my ideal reader avatar, or in my business, who my ideal avatar is, my customer avatar, through writing about it. It's like, who do I serve? I ask that question. Who do I serve? Who is my writing for? Who is this course for? And just start asking that question in my journaling, and pretty soon I have the answer. It will show up on my journal pages before it shows up anyplace else. So I highly, highly, highly recommend, if you are writing or if you have a business, to start journaling and to ask those questions. So I highly, highly recommend, if you are a writer or want to be one, to start incorporating morning pages of some sort, the way that Julia Cameron and Dorothea Brand suggested of writing 3 pages longhand, putting it in an envelope or in a drawer, never worked for me. I like putting it in a notebook. Find what works for you. And I don't keep it to 3 pages. I do whatever, however many is in my energy to do. Some days, that's half of a page. Some days, that's 20 pages. Just depends. Work out what works for you. If you have a business, it will help you figure out your business. It will help you figure out your next steps, what product or service to offer next, or how that service or product can benefit others. If you're having a problem in your business, write about it in your journal and you will find the answer to it. It may be a surprising answer. You may find that all of the traditional ways of marketing haven't worked for you for a reason. They don't work for me for a reason, partly because I'm a projector and partly because of my incarnation cross. As a creative, I can't do the way that other people do and have it work. I've tried. And by me journaling about that, of why isn't this working? I'm doing all the steps. Why isn't it working for me? By listening to my subconscious, by listening to my guides, listening to my goddess counsel, and writing about it, I get that answer. If you are on a journey of self-discovery, of self-transformation, of self-awareness, or want to become more emotionally intelligent, journaling is a way to help you do that. It's a way for you to be aware of what you're thinking, what you're feeling, why you're feeling that way, what you believe, why you feel that way, why you believe that way. Helps you question the premise. Is that way right for me? I've been thinking this, believing this. This is what I've been taught. Is it right for me? Questioning that in your journal and listening for those answers as you write those answers down can help you discover what is right for you, what you believe, what you feel, and what you want in your life. I do that quite a bit of visioning. What do I want in my life? How do I want to live my life? And I'm now seeing that appear in my life. Journaling is such an effective and powerful tool for our self-development, our self-transformation, building our businesses, becoming self-aware, growing our emotional intelligence, developing our stories, developing our books, and relieving stress, being more healthy. So many benefits from journaling. If you haven't already, I invite you to start journaling. Get a notebook. Get a pretty notebook, just a spiral-bound notebook. They have them that are pretty. Get a set of pens that are for your journaling. I like using different colors. You can get different colored ones, whatever you like that helps you express yourself. Just experiment with what works for you. If you don't know where to start, what to write about, get a book of journal prompts and start there. Sometimes just writing, I don't know what to write about today, is enough to start the thoughts flowing. Oh, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm thinking right now. This is what I'm sensing right now. That will help the flow start. I hope this has helped you. If it has, please let me know in the comments. How has journaling helping you? What is your experience with journaling? Let me know in the comments below, or if you're listening to this as an audio, contact me on my social medias. All my links are in the show notes. I'd love to hear your experience with journaling and how it has helped you. And if there's something that I haven't mentioned that it's helped you do, let us know. Share your experience to let other people know they aren't alone and what else they can experiment with and try. Blessings. May you dance with the goddess in love and joy, and have fun discovering more about yourself in your journaling. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode and it deepened your dance with the goddess. Please subscribe to our channel, like and share the video, and feel free to comment. This helps more women find our show. To support the show, please donate to buymeacoffee.com/DWGpod. Your donations help support the cost of hosting, editing, and production of the podcast. We appreciate your support. May the rest of your day be amazing, and may you dance with the goddess in love and joy.